If what they put in the box is as good as what they put on the box, I'm going to be pretty impressed. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. Today we're doing a first look and review of the new team-associated Element Enduro Sendero. And that's a lot of names.
The mother of dragons, the Khaleesi of the great grass sea, the unburnt, the breaker of chains.
This is Jon Snow.
Why not just call it the Enduro and be done with it? Maybe the Sendero is the name of the body that they chose and we can just call it the Element Enduro. The brand Element is a new brand under the Team Associated banner. This is Element's first foray into the 10th scale market, and what we're looking at here is their first in-house design of an RC 4x4 off-road crawler, whatever you want to call it. This is their first design, and they've taken a lot of features and packed it into this very good package. If I know anything about the guys that are behind the design of this truck, they've definitely spent their time thinking about how it's going to work, and they've definitely spent their time on the actual trails putting it to the test. Before we get too far into the actual review, there is something that I should mention about that box back there. It's not just a box. Cut it open, reverse it, and it actually becomes a little tiny RC scale garage. I thought that was a really nice touch, and it shows that Element is taking this market seriously. I know it's not a massive thing, but it is a nice attention to detail, and I really do like that. The Enduro Sendero, which is what we're looking at here, is a non-licensed body. It is Lexan, it is 2 pieces. It does offer a lot of nice molded extra parts. The grille is molded, the windshield wipers and door mirrors are all molded. It's nice that the cab is separate from the actual bed of the truck. It is a non-metallic gray. It kind of reminds me of the cement gray from the Tacomas, from the TRD Pro Tacomas that you can get. It's a good, decent looking truck because it is non-licensed. It is sort of generic and it doesn't really have any specific lines that kind of reflect in the real world, but it is a good starter RTR body, and I've got not a lot of complaints. Windows you can see through, that's always a bonus. It is a 12.3 inch wheelbase, so you'll find a lot of different bodies out there that will fit this chassis, if that's the direction you want to go, of course. I'm going to leave it stock. I think it's probably best to test it in its stock form, of course. So for now, this is the body that's going to stay on it. We're getting to a point in the RTR market where you're going to want to see things like inner fenders and an interior piece to go with the truck. This doesn't have either of those things, and I'm guessing it's just a cost-saving measure, as in most cases that probably is. I really hope that they do start to offer some sort of inner fender as an option, even if it's not hard plastic. I would love to see even the aftermarket come out with something to be used with this truck to help complete the look. Look at that. Where is it? There it is. Scale Builders Guild logo. And I don't know who that guy is, but yeah, whatever. Quite a nicely detailed sticker sheet. Lots of different options, and this is actually really cool here. If you can see that there, you get all kinds of letters and numbers and all kinds of different license plates to make your own plate. I think that's a really nice level of personalization. There's a bunch of covers that go with it as well. A couple of finished license plates over here, and a lot of bumper stickers too. Pretty reminiscent of what we do over at the Scale Builders Guild, but that's really cool. I like everything you see there. That's really great. LED lights are included with this RTR, so that's a nice little bonus as well. Let's stop talking about the body and let's start looking at some of the other features of this truck. We'll pull off the top here, get a good look at this chassis right now. First and foremost, on initial glance, this does look very reminiscent of a lot of other trucks on the market. They are sticking with a stamped steel frame, as many other manufacturers have done. It does offer the most rigidity and the most flexibility in terms of mounting things to it afterwards. Forward mounted battery on the rails, and this is a nice little feature here. They offer in the RTR box 2 different sizes of battery trays, so a standard more like a 5,000 pack A little longer pack will fit there, and what's included and mounted currently is this sort of shorty style pack, which is better for weight and kind of keeping that weight in the center of the truck. They do offer both, and that's really cool that they come with both. The steering servo is mounted on the chassis, as we've come to expect, but what is a little bit different about the Element is that it's actually behind the axle steering, offering you a much greater approach angle and less likelihood that you'll get caught up on a rock. The steering is handled by a Reedy 1320 metal gear servo, which offers 120 ounce-inches of torque. According to Element, this steering servo is the highest torque rating of any RTR currently on the market as of May 2019. So that is a pretty cool feature. It's great to see that they're taking the servo market seriously and not letting us down with something that's just going to fail in the first run. The most important element of the Element is its Stealth X gearbox, and this is where Associated did something that I haven't seen a lot of manufacturers do, and that's offer a brand new transmission that allows for overdrive out of the box. As it's set up, you get 6% overdrive to the front axle. Overdrive essentially allows you to turn the front wheels at a faster rate than the rear wheels, which gives you a much better ability to climb up and pull yourself up over an obstacle. Also on a downhill, by having that front axle turning faster, it's actually going to make the rear axle a lot less lively and help control the truck on a descent. Out of the box, the Stealth X transmission allows for 6% overdrive. They also include a second set of gears in the RTR to allow you to go to 11.83% overdrive on the front axle. There is also a third option that you can get from the factory to allow for no overdrive whatsoever, but overdrive is definitely something that I'm very keen on and I try to put into all my trucks, so having it already built into the transmission is really, really key, and it's a really nice feature, definitely one that I'm ready to take advantage of. Fun fact, the Stealth transmission that is in this truck had its origins in Team Associated's line of buggies, and it's been probably the most duplicated or copied style of transmission out there. The 3-gear transmission is so prevalent and so common in crawler market especially, that it's really nice to see an upgrade to that is a little bit out of the box. One other interesting point to this transmission is that it can actually be mounted in the reverse manner. So if you wanted to have the spur gear facing forward, you can do that. You just have to replace a top shaft, which is an aftermarket available piece, because otherwise you'd have overdrive in the rear and you don't want that ever. So they do offer a replacement for that if that's what you wanted to do. Paired to that transmission, you get one of the new ultra smooth Reedy 16-turn 5-slot brushed motors, which offers a ton of torque and very, very smooth startup. I actually had one of those motors from before this truck was released, and I've been playing with it a lot. It is really, really smooth, and you'll be really impressed with how quiet it is as well. The drive shafts to these very nicely detailed axles are plastic with metal ends and have an extruded aluminum centerpiece that will not obviously torque out and get bent or break. It's nice to see that little bit of attention to detail, and I'm keen to see how well they hold up, actually. It's nice to see them adding a little bit more metal to those drive shafts without going completely metal. I find that most plastic drive shafts will hold up to a ton of abuse. It'll be interesting to see how these hold up. All of the links are nickel-plated steel, nice and smooth, a little bit of a transition between the rod end and the actual link, but shouldn't be too big of a deal in terms of catching on anything on the trail. The pivot balls on all of the links are plastic, but Element RC does offer a metal upgrade should you want to go that route. They also offer machined internal gears for that Stealth X transmission, other sets of method wheels, a whole series of springs in multiple different spring rates, bronze-bodied shocks if you wanted to change the look. There's all kinds of factory team options that can be applied to this truck, and I'm really excited to see how the aftermarket handles this truck and what they want to bring to the table as well. To get all of that steering, of course, you've got universal drive shafts in the front axle offering 45 degrees of steering articulation. The spline on the axle is exactly the same as axial axles, so I think in theory you should be able to use a lot of aftermarket hubs on those axles. both front and rear. I'm really keen to see if I can make a set of Vanquish hubs work on the front and still offer that behind the axle steering. I think that's a really nice feature. Oh, another thing to mention, of course, on the front here, there is room for a servo style winch. The bumper, of course, has a fair lead and there is room to route a cable through there, so it shouldn't be too much trouble to set up a servo winch on this truck as well. It's nice that it's mounted up right beside the other servo. Very similar layout to a lot of other trucks that are out on the market now, but it's great to see that. There is a nice waterproof receiver box on the driver's side skid. That's really great to see. I love having an integrated waterproof box because it's just nice to be able to put everything in there and not have to worry about it. These shocks are very, very smooth. They're aluminum bodied, some plastic components, but for the most part, they do seem very smooth and no leakage from the factory. It's only a single shear mount on the axle, but I'm not too worried about that. There are plastic rock sliders included. They are adjustable in terms of how wide you want them to be. It's nice to have those as well. They appear to be very smooth and of a very decent quality plastic. Speaking of plastic, the front bumper and rear bumper are both plastic as well. But again, it's a decent mold, nice quality plastics. I know that Associated is very well known for their good quality plastics and their shocks and their engineering, so I'm expecting an awful lot from this truck in terms of its durability. Despite the fact that the plastics are quite strong, there is a little bit of flex in the chassis overall, and I think it could probably stand to have 1 or 2 more braces between these C-channel rails. The front's a lot more robust than the rear, and these big bumpers aren't helping in that flex. I think if you were to get caught on a rock, you might be able to tweak things a little bit. The tires and wheels are both licensed. The wheels methods, they are a beadlock. They do feature a removable hub that goes over the nut in the center, which is a really nice little feature. It looks like they come together quite easily, and they are holding a bead very nicely. The General Grabber licensed tire, good lugs, good pattern there. Definitely feels like it's in a pretty decent compound. They refer to it as X3. I'm not too familiar with Associated's tire compounds, but it does feel pretty good. I think it's going to be a nice tire. I am noticing that there is no breather hole in that beadlock, so you might want to drill that if that's what you're into. I don't vent my tires, but some people do. So definitely something you can do on your own. The Element Enduro comes with the XP130 3-channel radio. This is, very standard analog trims, but decent radio. It also comes with, where is it? A 3-position switch somewhere. Ah, there it is. There's a 3-position switch included with this radio, allowing you to control your servo winch directly from it. It's really nice that they include that as an option, and I love that it's a sort of a toggle switch. That makes it a lot easier to know when you're pulling in or pulling out your winch. This Reedy SC400X speed control is very similar to the AE5 from Axial. It also has LED and servo outputs, so you can control your lights and your winch apparently from one of these outputs. So that makes it pretty interesting. I had no idea how that works. We'll have to dive in and try that out. I think they've done a really great job of putting a truck together that has a little bit of innovation and a lot of features. It's a great RTR. I'm really excited to get it out on the trail, and in fact, where I'm going to run it for the first time will be at Proline by the Fire, probably as you're watching this video right now. It's clear to me that Team Associated and Element are taking a very serious look at this market, and they are not willing to compromise on some things. We're seeing great electronics, we're seeing great design, we're seeing a lot of innovative features going on here. This, to me, seems like they're taking what most would consider an RTR and making it a lot more competition ready. Yes, of course, in stock format, it probably will not be able to handle a lot of advanced trail work, let's say in a Class 2 Sorca event. But give it some time on the market, and I think we're going to see a lot of innovation and a lot of updates and a lot of cool stuff coming from Element. If you're looking for something different, if you're looking for something new to the market and something that I think is going to be an excellent performer, then this Element RC Enduro is for you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again soon.